welcome to the deep dive. If you've been glued to the football transfer window, you know it's been a whirlwind, especially for Manchester United.
Oh, absolutely.
They're on this intense, almost, desperate hunt for a new striker.
Yeah.
And the latest intriguing name to pop up, sort of out of the chaos, is Hugo Ekitike. We're not just looking at a headline here, are we?
Yeah.
This feels like a complex knot of, desperation, ambition, big money.
Precisely. And this deep dive, it isn't just about like one player or one club. We're pulling back the curtain a bit on the intricate dynamics of the modern transfer market.
Right.
Player valuation, the high-pressure strategic calls clubs have to make. Our mission today really is to unpack all the layers around Ekitike, his potential move, the risks involved, and they are real risks.
Okay.
And what it all truly means for Manchester United and, the wider football world you follow.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's meet the man himself, Hugo Ekitike.
Yep.
He's 22, right? Actually, turning 23 this week.
That's right, birthday boy.
Yeah. France U21 international. And he's just had this absolutely standout season for Eintracht Frankfurt over in Germany.
Standout is, putting it mildly. For Frankfurt, he got 22 goals, 12 assists across 48 games.
Wow.
That's serious output. And what's compelling is his skill set. He's quick, he's got skill, good size too. He's quite well-rounded. His career path's been interesting as well. Came through PSG, but really found his feet on loan at Frankfurt, made it permanent.
Right.
And, people are starting to compare his style a bit to Alexander Isak at Newcastle.
Okay, I can see that. So with that kind of performance, any big club would be looking. But why Man United specifically? Why are they so sort of laser focused on him right now? What's the driver?
Well, it really boils down to an urgent need, a really undeniable one. Manchester United are, frankly, desperate for a reliable forward for next season, and their ongoing transfer saga, trying to get other main targets, it's just stalled. Completely stalled.
Oh, we've seen that play out.
Exactly. Specific examples, they're frustrating for United fans, I'm sure. Liam Delap chose Chelsea over them.
Yep.
Victor Gyökeres looks like he's leaning towards Arsenal.
Okay.
And the really big names like Victor Osimhen seem, way beyond what they can spend right now, financially out of reach.
It is definitely not for lack of trying, is it? They seem to be casting a pretty wide net, exploring lots of alternatives. We've heard names like Guarez, Osman, Ollie Watkins, Mateta, maybe more affordable.
Potentially, yeah. Those are sort of the plan B, plan C options, maybe.
And then there's Jonathan David. Could be free next season. Makes you wonder, are they playing a long game or is this just reacting to chaos?
It's a good question. And if you look at the bigger picture, connect the dots.
Yep.
It's a pattern we've seen before with United, hasn't it?
How so?
Well, historically, gambles on young players, maybe not fully proven. Remember the Hen from Atlanta situation?
Vaguely, yeah. Højlund.
Right, Rasmus Højlund. Promising talent, but untested in the Premier League grind. It didn't immediately click, did it? It didn't always yield positive results straight away. It just highlights the risks involved, Pursuing a player like Ekitike, high potential, but maybe just one great season under his belt in such a high-pressure place like Old Trafford.
Where expectations are sky high.
Exactly, and patience is often pretty thin.
Okay, so we've got the talent, we've got United's urgent need, but now the massive hurdle, the price. Frankfurt reportedly wants 100 million euros. That's what, 85 million?
Huge figure.
So what's your instant reaction to that number for a player with one big season, given United's other spending?
It's a problem, a really big one for Manchester United, especially when you factor in their other commitments. They've already got that $62.5 million deal agreed for Matthias Cunha.
Right.
And there's talk of a similarly priced move for Brian Mbeumo in the works too.
Right.
So adding another 100 million, 85 million pralos for Ekitike, it just looks, likely unobtainable. It would seriously strain the budget.
And limit other signings they probably need.
Precisely.
But there seems to be a little bit of wiggle room. Reports say Frankfurt is willing to be flexible on the deal structure. And Ekitike's people have apparently said Frankfurt might compromise on this overall fee, so it's not necessarily take it or leave it at 100 euro.
That is a crucial detail, that flexibility. And it suggests United's internal chats are all about how to bring that number down drastically.
Okay.
Specifically, this idea of a swap deal keeps coming up.
Right. Who would they swap?
The plan being floated involves using either Rasmus Højlund
Him again.
or maybe Joshua Zirkzee as, make weights in the deal. On paper, you can see the appeal for United. It looks like an ideal situation.
How so?
Well, you potentially shift a forward who hasn't quite fired as hoped and bring in a potential upgrade in the same position, and hopefully at a much lower net cost.
I kill two birds with one stone, sort of.
Kind of. But, and it's a big but, would Frankfurt go for that? Would Huijlund or Xerxes even want to move to Frankfurt as part of the deal?
Yeah, that's complicated. Lots of moving parts. A three-way agreement needed, really.
Exactly. Far from certain.
So, looking at all this, the price, the swap ideas. What does it say about United's strategy? Should they even be contemplating such a huge sum for one guy? Or, would maybe investing in two players for, say, 40 million each be smarter, a more balanced approach, build some depth?
It's the $1 million, or rather 100 million euro question, isn't it? And what makes it even more fascinating is the competition. United aren't the only ones looking. Liverpool and Chelsea have both apparently shown interest this summer, too.
Right. Adding pressure, driving up the price, maybe.
Potentially, yeah. It complicates things for United, definitely.
And then Fabrizio Romano drops his latest update, which always seems to shake things up.
He does have that effect, doesn't he?
He's saying Liverpool are a concrete target for Ekitike, especially if Darwin Núñez leaves.
Okay.
And Núñez leaving looks likely, doesn't it? Napoli's apparently sniffing around Saudi interest, other European clubs.
Yeah, the noise around Núñez has been growing.
So if Núñez goes, Romano says Ekitike becomes a top priority for Liverpool. They apparently spoke to his agents way back in May. Regular contact.
Right. And when Romano reports something like that, with his track record, it's not just noise.
No.
It forces clubs to react, doesn't it? It turns a maybe into a real threat almost overnight. And the implication here, the deeper insight, is if Liverpool do sell Núñez, get a load of cash. And then properly enter the race for Ekitike, United might just be blown out of the water.
Because they couldn't really afford him anyway.
Exactly. They couldn't afford him in the first place, realistically. Now they'd be up against a rival with fresh funds and maybe a clearer pitch to the player.
Shows how much the media and the market feed off each other.
Totally intertwined.
And honestly, looking at the whole thing, there are some pretty clear red flags around this Ekitike deal for United, aren't there? Makes you wonder if it's wise.
Like what specifically?
Well, there's that sort of whispered Frankfurt striker curse.
Yeah.
Players doing well there, then struggling after a big move. Maybe unfounded, but it's talked about.
A bit of folklore, yeah. But scouts notice patterns.
And Ekitike, for all the talent, really only has that one good season at the top level to point to.
True. It's a gamble on projecting that form forward.
Plus, the fact United only seemed keen after missing out on Delap, Gyökeres, Osimhen.
Yeah. Does it feel a bit reactive, like he's fourth choice?
It does raise questions about whether he was part of the original strategic plan or more of a scramble to fill a gap.
Yeah. And some analysts are saying flat out, he doesn't look like the correct signing for United at this stage of their project anyway.
Exactly. And when a club gets desperate, like United clearly are for a striker, they can sometimes ignore those red flags, can't they?
Hoping for a quick fix. Yeah, hoping one player is the silver bullet. But the real insight is that a proper, structured, long-term project, it shouldn't really rely on these reactive, high-stakes gambles. So, in a weird way, Liverpool potentially coming in strong, maybe pushing United out, could actually be, a blessing in disguise for United.
How so?
It might force them to pivot, to step away from a deal that, like you said, has quite a few worrying aspects. It might push them towards a more strategically sound signing.
Interesting take. So failure could be beneficial.
Sometimes, yeah. Avoids a potentially bigger mistake down the line.
So there we have it, this complex web around Hugo Ekitike.
Yeah.
You've got the player's talent, clear potential there.
Undeniable.
United's desperate need, that's also undeniable.
Yep.
The massive price tag, the maybe creative, maybe desperate swap deal ideas.
Yeah.
And then fierce competition, maybe pushing them out anyway.
It's a real high-stakes poker game, isn't it? Millions and millions on the line.
Yep.
And this whole situation, it really brings us to a crucial question for you, the listener, to think about. In this era we're in, with transfer fees just ballooning, intense competition for every top talent, how do clubs like United actually define value anymore?
Good question.
Is success just signing the big name, the headline grabber, or whatever the cost? Or is it about cleverly, strategically navigating this crazy market to find the right fit, the right value, even if it's less flashy?
Right. Substance over style.
Maybe. And thinking about that blessing in disguise idea, if a deal falls through, is that really a strategic win? Was it foresight? Or was it just getting lucky, escaping a potentially bad decision that could have really hurt the team's progress?
Fascinating questions. Ones without easy answers, I suspect. Definitely food for thought as this transfer window keeps spinning. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Ekitike saga.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We definitely encourage you to keep exploring these complex questions yourself.